Yo, what is going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 411. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez,
Sup, people? How's it going?
Carlos Romero,
Yo, yo, yo.
Brett Murdoch,
What up, people?
and Brian Manjoma.
And I lost the Green Ranger.
Man, yeah, like a week after Batman, you know? Yeah, I do want to just, right off the top, we got to got to talk about Jason David Frank, man. You know, the Green Ranger, White Ranger, you know, for those of us who watched Power Rangers in America from the beginning. Big loss, you know? The dude was great, and not even beyond Power Rangers. Like, it was like, he was always at conventions and stuff. Like, he always seemed like a really generous guy with his time, with the fans and everything. And yeah, apparently, you know, like we said, it's like you could seemingly have like a seemingly good life or whatever, but you know, maybe something was going on in his head or whatever, maybe behind the scenes, because you know he committed suicide. Very sad. The guy was only how old was he? Like 49.
He was almost 50, 49 years old.
Yeah, very young. You know, so you know, obviously everybody was talking about that on Twitter. You know, aside from the other dumb shit, you know, let's talk about something important here. You know, but yeah, man. Just had to talk about that real quick. If you guys have any thoughts on, you know, this guy, I know this is not gaming related, but everybody watched Power Rangers, so I think we could. Talk about this,
if you're a certain age, you probably watched the Power Rangers. So yeah, it's sad because I mean, you know, especially after the passing of Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman from Batman the Animated Series, who was like, you know, even if you didn't watch the original Batman, he was the voice of Batman. He was the Arkham City Batman.
Yep,
you know, he was the Arkham games Batman,
yep.
And countless, you know, things. And then also, you know, and then we have Jason David Frank, you know, passing literally the following weekend. You know, he was one of those guys that seemed like he was very in tune with the fans. He wasn't afraid to sort of. You know, I feel like Power Rangers was his one ticket where he, you know, I feel like a lot of those guys, they never, except for Johnny Young Bosch, who's, you know, ends up doing a lot of voice work, you know, and having a career beyond Power Rangers. He sort of stuck with the Power Rangers thing and always, he showed up on multiple shows, you know, as different Rangers, different colored Rangers, or returned again. So, yeah, again, very good with the fans, it seems like, and, you know, it's unfortunate. I hear, at least at the time of his passing, he was doing some sort of movie. So he was going to releasing some sort of action film. And I think his last post on his Twitter was essentially, "Hey, see you November."
Man.
And the next week, I think he was supposed to have a convention.
Yeah, I mean, we told this story on the show before, but you know, when Power Rangers first came on, Manny and I were a little bit older. We were like 13, so we kind of hit it. You know, like you know, in school and stuff, but we were pretty hyped for this show, man. Like, remember when the Green Ranger first came up and he like showed up and he fucked up all the other Rangers inside the Mega? So I'm like, oh shit, who is this dude? You know,
he screwed up. He screwed up everything. It's like that's like the ultimate enemy, which is one of your own, almost one of your own.
Yeah.
So yeah,
he was a cool one too.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was dope. Yeah, he's like a cool dude. You know. He was like the Dylan of that show, you know, like if you watch 90210, like he was the Dylan of that show, you know.
There was you know, like, you know, you guys might not get it, but you know, more recently it was like that, the Twilight stuff with like Edward and fucking the other guy, right?
You know, the werewolf.
The werewolf and fucking and the vampire, but like for Power Rangers, it was the Red Ranger or the Green Ranger. Like there was always that, like, who's cooler? No one said the Blue Ranger, and then
nobody liked Billy.
Shout out to Billy. No one said Billy. You know, just a little bit more said the Black Ranger, and obviously the two girls. You know, the guys never. You know, the guys were just, you know, fawning over. But
yeah, they were just fawning. You're right. Yeah, the cool. You're right. I didn't think about it. You're right. The cool competition was between Green and Red. You're right about that. You know.
Mm-hmm. And there was a movie too. They were in the movies. I went to go see them when it came out.
Yeah, that Power Rangers movie was. We saw that, man. You remember? You know.
Yeah, the CG in that one was rough.
Bad. That one had Johnny Young Bosch in it too, if I remember correctly.
That was the second. That was the other iteration of the Power Rangers.
That was kind of
where the originals left.
Yeah, that was the end for me too. That was like the last Power Rangers thing I saw. Then I never went back. I was like, I think that was a good way of ending this thing. You know.
Yep.
Yeah, man. So yeah, anybody else have any thoughts you want to say about Tommy? He'll always be Tommy to me,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Go ahead.
just rest in peace, man. It
Yeah,
sucks.
man. Yeah, rest
Too
in peace,
young.
Jason David Frank. Yeah, absolutely too young. Good guy, man. But yeah, had to give our respects to this man. Meant a lot to us growing up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on here, and I'm gonna kick.
I got an announcement.
Oh, yeah, an announcement. I thought we usually save those to the end of the show, but go
Well,
ahead.
so here's the thing. It's a surprise. It's not a big deal or anything, but I will announce it during the show at a random time. Hopefully, it's a tease. It's a tease.
Okay, so Carlos like, yo, I'm
Stay tuned,
leaving
people.
Throwdown, going back to the fan zone.
I'm going back to the fan zone.
Dude, he's taking a page from the Game Awards and making an announcement that he's going to make an announcement.
Yeah, Hideo Kojima. All right, let's get into it, man. First up, Illustrated Dio, longtime listener and friend of Throwdown. That's what happens around here, man. You stick around long enough, you're not a fan anymore. You're just a friend of ours, Especially we've hung out with him like in real life too, Good dude.
Yo, Dio, where were you at when I was in New York?
Yeah,
man.
He's a very difficult
works-
guy to get at heart. Yeah, because he works for the MTA.
Well,
works late nights.
yeah,
and shit.
Dio works nights. Like sometimes you'll get an answer to a tweet like at like 4 a.m. in the morning from him. But yeah, no, he works nights. So, but
Oh yeah, he posts those badass looking pictures that he takes.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
like, oh, shit.
Yo, I
Cool,
remember literally right before the pandemic, right? In January, I was at the New York Video Game Critics Circle Awards and stuff. It was downtown, and I was there with Danny Pena, a couple other people. That's the first time I met Gene Park in real life. That's also where I was like, oh man, I look up to you, an older guy in gaming. Turns out I'm older than him. But anyway, so there was some bullshit going on with the elevators and all that nonsense. So I was trying to get home and stuff, and I got home, everything was fine. But then the next day, it's like, yo, Tony, man, I saw you at my station, but I didn't bother you because you looked pissed off. Like I was pissed off. So yeah, shout out to I still remember the first time I met Dio at New York Comic Con when I first joined SCFU and Play. Like he was kind of like in awe of me and Torrance, which is kind of weird. I'm like, there's nothing to be in awe about, But that's how it was. Anyway, his first question, very pertinent question, especially what was going on this weekend in gaming. Considering Nintendo's weak hardware, is it time for GameFreak to take the Pokemon franchise to a third-party developer or first-party publisher? Maybe then the Pokemon games can reach their true potential. Yeah, if you guys have seen, other stuff going on in Twitter besides everybody going, oh my God, I'm leaving. Yeah, yo, the new Pokemon game is a fucking mess. It is just glitch city. And I joked about it. It's like, hey, what happened to the Nintendo seal of approval? And a lot of people. Here's the interesting. We're gonna get deeper into it, but like people are like, okay, it's not just a matter of the hardware because they were showing Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which is like the token Nintendo game for the Game Awards, and they were like, yo, look at the graphics on this game. They look really good, and then compared to Game Freak's game, Pokemon. So it could be both. It could be one, the hardware, and then two, Game Freak's just resting on their laurels,
Well, to be honest, you see, dude, it's been a year since the last time they released a game.
Oh, yeah, they're pumping them out fast.
They're pumping them out fast. So to be honest, I feel like at this point, Nintendo, and I don't think Nintendo's even giving them any more budget to do these things. So they're just sort of they're not like. Their first dip was in a sort of open-ish world was that last one they did. But then, then there's this one. Yeah. So now it's them doing a full-on open world.
And it's funny because this is
and
the
they're
game
not usually
everybody's
doing
wanted.
that stuff.
People have asked for an open world Pokemon game for years. They finally get it. They get this mess,
Yeah, well, to be honest, it's not easy developing open world games. It's not like you can't just turn on a switch. I'm sure there was a lot turn on a switch. There's a lot involved in making one of those games. Not everybody's been able to do it. I mean, all things considered. So
Game Freak hasn't been able to do it in years.
Yeah.
To be honest, like, what did Game Freaks do? They made fucking turn-based RPGs.
Well, they did. Well, I
If
mean,
you-
we saw them.
If
we
you're
saw them
gonna
write-
if you're gonna go down the road of asking them to delve into a realm where they're not like fully prepared to, they should have at least given this shit a little bit more time in the oven.
Dude, they had like a decade where people were asking for this shit.
Yeah, a decade, but they weren't decade developing this.
And everybody thought it was just because they couldn't fucking do it. And this just kind of confirms that.
Here's the thing: just because people are asking doesn't mean that a team can implement. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in order to do something like this. And even the last game, which was a small step in that direction, but I feel like they were still unprepared. Again, look at their fucking development time for this. You telling me it's perfectly fine to develop to have these things done in a year?
I mean, if you're not upgrading shit, that's. I'm talking about when
it's not the fact that you're upgrading. Just even if they're just working off of the groundwork of what is previous, this is a totally different animal than the last time, and you're underestimating the amount of work that needs to be done for something like this. I definitely think that they needed more time to do this.
All right,
go ahead, Brett.
Words in my mouth. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this had been asked for a decade. Any shortcoming on their runway that they did is their own fault. Right? The fans were gracious and asking for this and willing to pay for
gracious. Gracious is bullshit because number one, again, when did they actually release a sort of openish world game? Last fucking year.
Yeah, with the Switch. And how long had that one been in development?
That I don't know because they kept on developing other games on top of it. Every single year, a new Pokemon game comes out, dude.
Okay, so how do you know that game didn't have enough time in development?
Well, because of you.
And if it didn't, whose fault is that?
Have you ever bothered to look at the amount of people that work at Game Freaks? Just for the sake of conversation?
Yeah, it's not a big studio.
The same amount of people. It's not a lot of. They're not a big studio.
No, I know, but you're just kind of supporting my point. Like they were not prepared and they did not give themselves enough time. But I view that as their fault.
I don't think it's the fault of Game Freaks. I think it's the fault of Nintendo themselves
for just like giving them an impossible task.
Yes, for giving them an impossible for essentially giving them an impossible task and just saying, "All right, we're not going to give you any more money, but we want this big open world." To be honest, like the state that this game is telling as to what the politics behind Nintendo is. They should have said to them, okay, well, I'm sure Game Freak said to them, hey, listen, we're going to need more time on this. And they're like, Nintendo's probably like, no, we're not going to give you that. Or Pokemon companies like, no, we're not going to give you that.
I mean, that's a whole lot of conjecture, though. You're just assuming a lot of that.
Listen, whenever any of these games, Cyberpunk included, whenever these things get released, people know that there's issues with their games. And they're telling when they go to the top brass and say to them, "Hey, listen, we're not going to be able to do it." Look how fucking long it's been taking to make fucking Zelda.
But see, the top brass, they're still part of the company. You're telling me in less
the time they're going to create a game on the level of a Zelda game, they needed more time.
But here's the thing: the top brass are still part of the company. If you agree to a deadline that you can't meet, that is still mismanagement. Right? Like, I'm not saying the boots on the ground fucked this up. I'm saying the company as a whole mismanaged and didn't deliver. Right? And whether you overpromise or underdeliver, it doesn't fucking matter. Not the real world.
So I
blame both. I blame Nintendo and Game Freak.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Like, it's not a good look on Nintendo, but like if I go in and I tell somebody a tattoo is going to be 4 hours, right? And 9 hours later, we're still working on that. Guess what? That's my fuck up. That's not theirs. That's my fuck up because I didn't gauge the time it was going to take and the resource it was going to take appropriately. And if I misjudge my tattoos by that much, I start giving away shit for free because that's on me, right? Mismanagement is one of the worst things a company can do. Most of the time, they don't have terrible people pouring their heart and soul into things like creating art assets and doing voices and things like that. It's the brass that fucking sucks. But just because, like, if the brass sucks at Activision, that means Activision sucks. Sorry. Like, one bad apple ruins the bunch. And I don't think that everybody at these companies is necessarily bad, but I don't think that you as a group, as a company, delivered when you told me A and gave me B. It's simple as that.
I think they delivered, but I think they just didn't deliver what they could have if they were given more time.
I would agree with that if I didn't see in this game so many blatant cutting corners. Like, there were things that just seemed phoned in. And I realize that's also conjecture, but like the way they phone in things, the way that they almost seem spiteful to their audience, the way they drug their feet on actually doing an open world Pokemon for fucking years. I just genuinely don't think that they have.
I think the thing about it is how is it that they drug their feet on it? How is it that that given that the budget that they were given to do their things, it was not possible to do an open world game. I don't think it. I think a lot of just like the Nintendo Switch itself, it's always Nintendo trying to squeeze as much out of a piece of shit as possible.
Okay, well then look at it this way. Whether it was them whether it's them not having the resources or Nintendo not giving them the resources, at the end of the day, isn't it still them not having the resources?
It's still them not having the resources. To be honest, I definitely think that they didn't have the resources all the time to pull this one off. And they really should have, to be honest, they should have given them Breath of the Wild time. But I feel like in the same sense, being that Nintendo at this point in time, because Breath of the Wild 2 was so delayed, like, okay, how is it that Breath of the Wild 2, which is supposed to be a supposed expansion on the previous game, how is that taking long? That open world, which is supposedly all made already, how is that game allowed to get the time, get the amount of time they're supposed to get, but yet in all, Pokemon is not allowed to? When
more people demanding Pokemon every year? I mean, maybe I'm not listening to the same people, but like I'm pretty sure that series had franchise fatigue. I'm pretty sure we talked about how they just kept throwing half-baked games out there, and none of it was ever what the audience was asking for.
I think a lot of times it's like when it comes to the franchise in general, I think whatever they sort of put out ends up being something.
No, I agree.
I think people just sort of, if Pokemon is on it and there's some new things in it, people just are like, all right, just like a bunch of lemmings and jump on the bandwagon.
It's a brand favorite, and I just want to make it real clear to like the listeners and you and everybody. Like, when I say somebody doesn't have the resources, I don't mean that they're not talented enough. I mean, they don't have a deep enough talent pool. Well, if they're going to undertake something like this, you need to expand your group and be bigger than a 23 or 24 person company, man.
Yeah.
Like, Brett, you need to.
I'm sorry, just to add to your point, because you say this all the time, and it's 100% true. Not every developer is created equal. Some are just better than others.
Yeah,
I think they needed. I definitely think they needed a little bit more time to research it. I feel like they probably used the last game, because the last game, as people played that one didn't have nearly as many glitches and bugs and things all over the place. But then again, that was like a Monster Hunter open world, where it was like open levels, but not like to the point where you could literally run from one place to another. No.
I mean, that was basically it. I know it sounds an awful lot like I'm talking shit, and while I kind of am, I'm not disparaging anybody.
You should, these trash ass games. Here's the thing, and I'm glad the Pokemon fans are finally speaking out. Because the thing is, for a long time they just accepted, Pokemon is great, it's great. They're finally going, you know what? We deserve better than this. So good on you, Pokemon fans. Don't accept the slop.
Well,
especially seeing that
they've been giving you for years. Let's
Jesus.
just be honest here. Pokemon games are generally shit. And you guys are just accepting it. So yeah. All right, you go ahead.
It just seems like we've gotten and this is the reason why I've fallen off years ago is they just repackage the same stuff and expect you to we're going to another region, but the game looks the same. It still looks like a DS game sometimes. Obviously, with the Arceus stuff, it has changed a lot. But for a while they just had the same type of game, and it didn't seem like they were pushing any boundaries with what they were doing. Hopefully, then the next batch of games are build on the Arceus stuff and get better. I mean, this game isn't going to do it, but hopefully the fans are vocal enough to voice the displeasure with what the game is, because Nintendo can get in its own fucking ass with a lot of this stuff. And you know, if there is no blowback, if they don't feel any pressure, which normally they don't from Nintendo fans because they're so complacent with whatever Daddy Bowser gives them, then you know they won't change anything.
Miyamoto, you know, all right, bro.
Yeah, it's like, oh, Miyamoto, he's my hero.
Yeah,
whatever.
All right, let's move on. I don't want to talk about Nintendo anymore.
Yeah, I want Nintendo.
Even though the next question is about Nintendo, kind of, sort of.
Nintendo.
Another one from Dio here. Between PlayStation and Nintendo, which will have the most game announcements / reveals at the Jeff Keighley Awards? I love how he calls it that. You know,
it's gonna be PlayStation. I feel.
Yeah, I think so. They probably, you know,
but
yes, I realize I've been saying Sony doesn't have nothing, but compared to Nintendo, they got more stuff.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna. I think they're gonna have a lot more announcements. But to be honest, I think the Game Awards is going to be dominated by third party, as it always is.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you know, imagine if we get an update on Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine, but I doubt it. You know, but yeah, I think we all agree PlayStation is probably gonna have more. Even if it's just one more than Nintendo, that's still more, you know?
Yeah, I mean, because Nintendo doesn't announce things at the Game Awards. What they do,
that's a good point. Yeah, they don't.
They never announce anything at the Game Awards. They just sort of show you this, like a sizzle reel of all the shit that they got coming.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Oh, I just noticed the Green Ranger behind you. Cool stuff. Good tribute. All right. Moving on here. Mob hits. All right. First one up. Did the PS4 just have its last hurrah with God of War Ragnarok? I hope so. I wrote a whole editorial about this. I'm like, God of War Ragnarok is awesome. Please let it be the last first-party PlayStation crossover game, you know? And here's the thing. So far, it seems like it is, right? Even though Sony did say, we're going to keep supporting the PS4, I did my research on it. I'm like, this is legit the last one. I mean, who knows? It
seems like a fitting send-off.
I think it is. I think so. I think it is a fitting. It's absolutely a fitting send-off. So,
especially as no spoilers here because I haven't finished it. Especially if God of War ends like the previous game suggested it will end, it's a really good point.
Yeah, I agree. So it should be the last hurrah. No more.
I mean, to be honest,
cross-gen games, please. We need to stop this. We need to move on already, bruh.
If you remember, a certain greatest selling console of all time also ended at God of War 2 on that even numbered console as well.
And that's why it would be very symmetrical, very poetic even, you know?
Yep.
PS2 ended on God of War 2. PS4 ends on God of War 2. Technically, you know?
Which even though it's not called God of War 2.
But it's the second one, you know, of this Norse saga. All right, moving on. Next question, also from Mob Hits.
My bad. I was on mute.
You got something to say, man? You got something to say? Excuse me?
Yo, man, I got thoughts. No, this is going to be real quick.
No, go ahead, man.
The whole thing just wanted to mention with God of War, as great as this game is, and it's fucking great, the fact that it's a crossover game kills it in a lot of aspects because, you know, graphics wise, you know, it's all right, you know, for a PS5 game, but the loading stuff, like going to the in between realms to go to different other realms, it's a fucking mess, man.
Yeah, here's the thing, you know, some fans were upset that reviewers were talking about that. You should talk about that. That's pretty fucking glaring. You know, that is the aspect that made me go, this game's awesome, but this is clearly a PS4 game. You know, where every 5 seconds you're being shunted. And the thing is, like, the more you play the game, the more you notice other versions of it that they do. You know, not just falling through a wall. There's other little things they do.
Yeah, like elevators and things like that, where they literally close the room off from view.
When you go through the little Erd tree dimension with the glowing doors.
Yeah, the world tree, yeah.
That's a little stream.
You know, you don't actually have to go anywhere. You just sit there long enough.
Yep. You did the same thing in the last game. You could just hang out.
Yeah, and the door just appears.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like we're not loading. No.
Yeah. Carlos, I'm with you. That stuff was very telling. And I think again, I just played the previous one earlier this year. The load screens are way more egregious in this one. You know, they're like way more plentiful this time around. So
I got a little beef while we're on the subject.
because
Like,
they're trying to do more shit. Go ahead, man. No
well, I was
spoilers.
talking to Tony. I was talking to you about this. Like, my beef with God of War, as much as I fucking love this game, there's three big things. One, it's not a PS5 exclusive. This could have been a huge and special thing, man. But instead, it's just kind of like, oh, cool, I'm pretty excited about that. Like, this could have been a fucking high watermark, in my opinion. But the bigger thing is there's several issues that were kind of glaringly present with the 2018 God of War, and they are just as bad, if not worse, in this one. And it's not like people didn't call them out. Like, why is the fucking camera... Like, everybody I talked to is like, if they could just move the camera back 2 feet from Kratos, that'd be fucking great.
To be fair, I did tell you this before the game came out, and I told you it when I played it, and I stopped talking about it because no one seemed to want to acknowledge it.
No, I agree with you. And like, it's not stopping me from enjoying the game, but I find myself being repeatedly frustrated. Like, why do I have to listen for people to be like, on your left? And I'm like, my left or your left? You know, like, in the moment, you kind of learn to be like, I guess I'm dodging right, but I would much rather know where the fucking enemies are.
Yeah, you really have to pay attention to those arrows behind Kratos. Otherwise, you're fucked. You know, because the camera's so damn close.
Yeah, and that is a very weird choice because, like, most games try and reduce the UI that you rely on, but this one had to be like, you don't actually need to see the enemies. We'll just tell you when they're coming.
Yeah, if it's red, if it's yellow, you're still good. But if it's red, dodge. Any direction, by the way, just dodge. It works.
Yeah.
You know.
Brett, it's not a weird choice. It's a choice that they made deliberately. Because if they pull the camera closer to Kratos, then it makes you feel, again, this is what they said, it makes you feel more in touch with what's going on. So they did that shit on purpose. And that's why I said it's a compromise that you have the UI stuff and the teleprompts. Because by pulling the camera that close, you can't see anything. And hence they have to tell you it because you can't see. So hence the cinematic vision that whoever, I don't know if it was Corey or someone else had, is literally compromised.
To be honest, like, the thing about it is that they theoretically could have pulled it back a little bit more when the battle begins, like essentially give you a little bit more space to see. You know, like even original God of War did shit like that, where like they pull out even more to give you a little bit more space to see what the hell's around you, and then come back closer to you a little bit.
Here's the thing: the 2018 game, not as much as you're describing, did that. Whenever you got into a battle, the camera actually would pull back. This one, it stays right there the whole time. You know,
that's what I'm saying. Like, they heard the complaints and then went, you know what? We're going to make everything worse.
But here's the thing, Brett: the complaints weren't
great game.
The complaints weren't plentiful enough. Some people complained very loudly, but the majority of people had no problem with it.
The majority of people were like, "This is the greatest game ever."
Yeah, okay, fair.
Game of the year, which
it's a game of the year.
Wasn't my game of the year for that year, but it was pretty damn close. And it may not
it's
be
good.
this year,
I'm frustrated because it's so good. It could have been fucking great.
Yeah. What the hell was the question? Oh yeah, God of War. Anyway, next question here from Mr. Mob Hits. Name your top 3 most valuable IPs in gaming. Now this one's interesting because valuable, you could quantify that. You could actually find what are the most valuable IPs in gaming. We could Google that shit up. But the thing is, you said you said
personal.
your top. Yeah. So these are most valuable to you. You know.
Yeah. All right.
The other one would have been easier to answer, but yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's sort of just like asking which is your favorite game franchises.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I'm boiling it down to, right?
Yeah,
that's how I'm hearing.
Essentially, that game franchise that just says to you,
3 of them.
I'm getting that.
Yeah,
at least 3. So, let's see. I guess for me, it would be if there was a Metal Gear Solid game, obviously. I would say the Kingdom Hearts franchise. I'm probably the only person who even plays it on the show.
Surprised me.
I mean, I like those games. They're fun.
Yeah.
Even though they're stupid as hell. but it's square stuff.
Yeah, to be fair, I'm the other guy who played 3 at least because I had to review it.
Yeah, to review it, but under normal circumstances, you would not seek out that game.
I never played those games
anyway.
originally. I was like, what is this?
No. I mean, and I even at the time when they came out, I didn't even suggest them to you because I know you, and I know you wouldn't have cared for it.
Mm-hmm.
But you do seem to like that other essentially Final Fantasy VII, literally cloning what they did in that game. It's the same shit. It's an action RPG,
but there's no Disney
better.
There's no
Disney characters.
That's
in
the
it.
thing, yeah. Because remember, I told you when I reviewed 3, I'm like, the gameplay in this is awesome, but all that Disney shit ruins it.
Oh, Disney shit. Was it Metal Gear Solid, Kingdom Hearts, and what would be the third? That's a hard one because old me would have said Final Fantasy, the Final Fantasy franchise, but I haven't officially played a Final Fantasy game in at least 20 years, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think I stopped at 10.
Hey, yeah, you did stop at 10, yeah.
I stopped at 10. I don't know. I can't think of the last one.
It's all right.
You know what? Let's say Spider-Man. Just say for the fuck of it. Just say Spider-Man.
All right, yeah. For me, yeah, you already named one of them. Final Fantasy, like Final Fantasy mainline one, not online, none of that bullshit. I will get it day one, no hesitation. God of War, I guess that's another one that counts. Even though I did, get Ascension, kind of got bit in the ass by that one. But other than that, God of War's been for me pretty consistent. Other than that game, that's a good franchise and. I would say Metal Gear, but Kojima ain't making them anymore. So
I just looked at it in an ideal place.
Yeah, I got you. I'm looking at it like now, so this is why it's a little bit tougher for me. Because again, there's other franchises that kind of fallen off. One of them would have been Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed, that was that one franchise. Every year I would get one. People were complaining, "Oh, these coming every year." I'm like, "No, keep them coming every year. Let's go." Then they fucked it all up. So that one doesn't count anymore. I don't know. I'm Final Fantasy and whatever else I said. That's my 2. But sorry, I'm not giving you 3. Because again, I don't trust most franchises anymore. No, this is not a franchise, but I'm going to cheat a little bit. From Software releases a game that has multiplayer. I'm looking at you, Sekiro. I didn't buy you.
The Souls games.
You give me no, but it has to be From Software specifically. I will get that shit day one. If it has the, glory, oh my God, Jolly Cooperation, give me that shit. I'm there, So yeah, I know that's cheating, but that's my 3. All right, Brett, what about you?
I want to agree with you with Final Fantasy, but it's been hit and miss for a while. God of War, so kind of there. For me, and I realize it's kind of the same game, Fallout / Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, that counts. Oh, Brett, by the way, Mass Effect would have been one of our answers back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny how people can fuck up things so bad sometimes that you're just like, nah, son, I'm good.
Like they okay. I know they fixed Mass Effect 3, and I'm happy with the fix. But Mass Effect 3, the original, was so bad it soured the first 2 games, which I love. That's how you know that's powerful bad.
Well, also they followed up with Andromeda, like, hey, we know we did you wrong last time, so check out this hit for the B team.
Yeah, keep going. I just had to throw it. The whole Mass Effect. What a disappointment that was.
I guess I could make a long list of things that used to be there that I'm just kind of like, I mean, I still really like Zelda, but I kind of feel like I might have closed my loop on that one. I'll still definitely play subsequent ones, but it's. I went back to Ocarina of Time 2, basically, and that was good. And I kind of feel like that closed a closed chapter on that. So yeah, I'm having trouble thinking of a lot of things. Like there are ones that just really mean a lot to me. Fallout being one of them, where they have sentimental value. I want to say GTA as well. But
yeah, I'm worried about GTA now. That's another franchise where GTA, I'm there day one. But I don't know if some of these comments I'm hearing, I'm worried about 6.
Yep.
GTA
used
used to be one of those franchises for sure. All right, Brian, what about you? 3 most valuable franchises to you, or gaming franchises.
The problem is most of them have just died out. Mm-hmm. So prepare for depression. SOCOM. SOCOM died out. Boy. Yeah. Burnout. Pretty much dead in the water.
No, Brian, don't hurt me, man.
I told you. Prepare.
No.
Prepare to cry.
What? This is going way back when the Mercenaries game, back in the PS2 era. Lovely game. Red Faction. Technically, developers stopped caring about making games anymore. So, what else? There was one. Army of Two. EA made a really good game, but they seemed to stop giving a damn. Don't know why. And that's mostly it. I want to throw in God of War there because for me, I think the franchise is just dead because I just don't care about it. Well, when a new game comes out with the same title and you don't care about it, then to you, that franchise is dead. I think we can all say that. That's how I feel about God of War. Like, zero interest in this new game. I don't know. It's just lots of franchises just meh. And the only thing I can possibly think of is maybe Doom. It's like the only one I care about these days. So when the new Doom drops, which I'm certain like maybe next year, the year after or something, we'll get something. Yes, I know, timestamp. They gotta have something.
There you go.
I think Doom is probably like the only current franchise that I actually give a damn about. Because the rest I don't care enough about, and that's a shame. Dragon's Dogma, technically second game hasn't come out yet, so I can't call it a franchise.
Not yet, yeah.
Yeah, and apart from that, nothing.
Here, by the way, Brian, have you heard about the whole Doom composer fiasco that happened this weekend or over the weekend?
I heard about it in the context of I seen people making videos about it, but then after the whole Bayonetta 3 voice actor thing, I was like, I won't get involved in this because I don't know who's lying and who's not lying.
Yeah,
so
that's fair. Yeah, but apparently they had a falling out. So if the next Doom doesn't have that awesome type of music, that's going to be, because I was part of it for me, man. That music was fucking awesome. It
was great.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Like you could listen to it on its own. It's that fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. Carlos, 3 most valuable franchises to you.
Number 1 is definitely Portal. Portal, I don't know if it's a franchise anymore because Valve refuses to do anything with it. That's number 1. Number 2, man. I guess does Spider-Man count?
Sure, it's a franchise. Spider-Man is a franchise,
I'll say Spider-Man because I'm looking forward to 2. There's a lot, like Brian mentioned, a lot of stuff that has fallen off. I mean, for me, Halo fell off, Mass Effect fell off, Assassin's Creed fell off even before Tony. Oh no! Replace. So it's only 3, right? So it's Portal. Ignore the second one. Final Fantasy for sure. Yeah. That's definitely valuable. I play every Final Fantasy. And looking forward to 16. And like Tony, if it has online in the game, that doesn't count.
We skipped that.
And number 3, and this is where I have to make my announcement.
Uh-oh.
From a game that I just got a platinum like 2 seconds ago. God of War.
Now, this is huge because, Carlos, this is the first time in history you got a platinum before me.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm pretty sure I got my name is Mayo platinum before you did.
I didn't play that. I didn't play that shit. Good stuff. That's fucking awesome, man.
Oh man,
that baby. Let's go.
I haven't played video games.
Smiling somewhere right now.
He's like,
that's my nigga Carlos.
He's like that GIF.
Yeah.
I messaged Riku on Twitter today or yesterday because man, I was struggling, man, because those some boss fights are stupid. And I'm like, yo, I'm just waiting for Riku to play this game so he can help me, man. And then Riku's like, yeah, I just started playing. And yeah, I got better at what I was doing, and it took a while because there's a lot, those birds, the ravens.
Yeah, the ravens. Yeah. By the way, I'm kind of proud of myself because there's 48 in the game. I haven't looked at any guys at all. I've already gotten like 43 of them. So
oh damn!
I'm very proud of myself. 40. But I know those last 5 are going to be hard as fuck.
Well, I had like 38 before I started looking for them. So I only had to look for 10 because I knew I didn't check the trophies beforehand, but I knew that those birds were gonna come back to bite me if I didn't like pay attention. And they make that noise every time you pass by them. Yeah. So I made sure, like every time I hear that voice, it triggered me, and I'm like, oh, gotta look for that bird. But yeah, man, it's actually pretty intense. There's a lot of fucking grinding in that trophy, in that platinum. But since I haven't played a lot of video games this year, I just felt like, man, I got a platinum this before, I finish off the year.
Over. Yeah. That's been my thing this year. Like I've only played like maybe like 3 PlayStation games. Got to platinum all of them. And I'm kind of God of War. I'm preempting that platinum. I will get it before the end of the year. Especially Carlos got that shit. I'm getting it.
No, man, you got to get that competition. You got to be like,
you got to get tomorrow.
So I got the platinum in Horizon Forbidden West. What was the other PlayStation game that came out? I got a platinum in that too. There's another one that came out.
Maybe Gran Turismo?
Maybe it was
Last
third
of Us?
Party. I don't know. No, I didn't play that shit.
Was it a Last of
Us?
Oh,
Elden Ring?
We got Elden Ring.
There you go. Not an exclusive, but yeah. So basically, every game I've played on PlayStation, I've gotten a platinum, except for that fucking Turtles game. But we're not. Gonna
I got that shit.
Yo, man, you crazy?
Yeah, man, I got the platinum of that one.
Nice. I'm talking about the not the
new one,
not the Shredder's Revenge. I'm talking about the other one because I got Shredder's Revenge.
The old one, yeah. I don't have it in Shredder's Revenge, but I got it in the old one.
Crazy.
The old classic ones.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, man. Let's move on to the next question. Carlos, I'm very proud of you, man. That's fucking awesome, dude.
Gotta have something.
All right. Sponsored question. What is this? What is this?
Who that?
Who him? Romu Death again? Man, he loves sponsoring questions. Yo, by the way, is Mob Hits in the chat right now? I don't know if he is or not. Because I'm not sure what the question is here. I try to edit it to my best of my ability, but we'll see. He goes, will recent reports of Google paying Activision $360 million to not compete with the Play Store swing in favor of Microsoft's acquisition? But I didn't know about this story, but yeah, apparently a report came out that Google paid Activision $360 million to not compete with the Google Play Store. So he's wondering, will that help Microsoft? I think that's the question. Will that help Microsoft in any way? I don't know.
I don't think it'll help. I don't think it'll. Google Play is their mobile one, right?
I think they have a Play Store on PC as well, but yeah, it's mobile basically.
No, but it's all it's their mobile store and it's weird to pay them to not compete because other than games they really don't offer anything else.
Like protection money or something. I don't know. It just seems weird.
Yeah, that sounds like a preemptive protection money because at what point has ever Activision decided to develop anything but video games? Because the Google Play Store offers more than just games.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. And apparently this was part of. Oh fuck! Stupid thing updated. God damn it! I don't have my original link anymore. But yeah, I don't know. Weird stuff. Epic lawsuit claims. Is it Epic Games or just an Epic lawsuit? That does sound pretty epic. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know too much about that to properly discuss it.
I mean, to be honest, it wouldn't affect.
Okay, so it says Google struck $360 million Activision deal to block rival App Store, lawsuit says. So who's suing? Google has struck at least 24 deals with big app developers to stop them from competing with its Play Store, including an agreement to pay Activision Blizzard $360 million over 3 years, according to a court filing on Thursday. Google also agreed in 2020 to pay Tencent Holdings Riot Games unit, which makes League of Legends about $30 million over 1 year. The filing stated the financial details emerged in a newly unredacted copy of a lawsuit that Fortnite developer, so video game Epic Games, first filed against Google in 2020. It alleged anti-competitive practices related to the search giant's Android and Play Store businesses. Holy shit. Wow. Okay, so apparently Google was paying companies to not have their own versions of, like a Play Store or something. And that's what Epic is suing about, because they feel that was like uncompetitive of them or something. Interesting.
I mean,
I don't know enough about law shit to talk about this, but
you want to talk about companies using their biggest exclusive to get over on folks.
Yeah.
I mean, there you go.
This is interesting, though. Google, I'm going to keep reading. This is from Reuters. Google has called the lawsuit baseless and full of mischaracterizations. It says its deals to keep developers satisfied reflect healthy competition. Activision said it never entered into an agreement with Google to not open an app store. And this is what Activision says. Google never asked us, pressured us, or made us agree to compete with Google Play. Epic's allegations are nonsense. Damn. And Riot Games is reviewing the filing. I don't know. There's some wild shit. But yeah, I don't think it'll really help Microsoft. It doesn't seem like it could help them in any way, because again, Microsoft isn't going to own Activision completely until June, July of next year, I believe. That's what Microsoft said. So yeah, this doesn't really have anything to do with that at all.
No.
Interesting stuff, though.
But it's interesting stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Very interesting. I didn't know about that. All right, moving on here. Black Metal Gamer, he's back. Black,
Black.
Battles to the north.
Battles to the north.
All right. What bad or trash movie would make a good video game? I feel like we answered this before. The ultimate one is Wolverine. The Wolverine movie was fucking terrible, but the game was amazing.
But they just mean a game. He means a game that this never had a
he's
talking
about
a movie that never had a game.
Yeah, a bad movie that would make a good game.
I mean, to be honest, I don't know, because I mean, I can think of movies that would be off kilter movies that would be pretty fun. I would definitely think that Six String Samurai might be a pretty damn awesome game. It's not necessarily a bad movie.
Yeah, he's looking for actually bad movies. Yeah.
I mean, you can make a Nightmare on Elm Street 3 movie, a game.
Yeah, or maybe you can make a fucking. By the way, I talk about this movie way more than should be healthy. Beastmaster.
Jason Takes Manhattan.
No, Beastmaster 2.
You know what?
It could be.
I mean, yeah, because Beastmaster 1 in general is kind of a fun franchise.
That
Beastmaster
awesome.
World. It's pretty, in general, it's a fun franchise. They just had to fuck it all up by putting it, bringing Beastmaster to modern times.
Oh, man, I hate. And remember they did the same bullshit with Masters of the Universe? Because that's how they saved money,
yeah. Yeah, that's how they saved money.
Same thing with the Sonic
that
movies.
Company could have that company could have never made a full-on Masters of the Universe canon films. No way.
Yeah, with a whole entirely set in Eternia, they couldn't have afforded that.
Eternia, yeah, that'd be Lord of the Rings budget.
Yeah, but like I said, I have a weird, unhealthy, because that movie just bugged me when I was a kid. Beastmaster 2. I'm like, what the hell is this? And that one scene where he's in the back of what do you call those, the convertible car in L.A. and they pass by a movie theater that's playing Beastmaster 2. I'm like, what are we doing here?
Or was it Beastmaster 3? I can't remember.
I don't remember. But they were playing Beastmaster. I'm like,
weird,
what? Yeah. This is stupid. So that movie scarred me for life. That's why when I saw the trailer for Sonic, the new Sonic movie, I'm like, this is Beastmaster all over again. You know, Beastmaster 2. You know, so fuck that shit. But yeah, I don't know if you could make a good like Beastmaster 1 would be an awesome game, but Beastmaster 2
that would be cool.
I don't know. Crawl.
I mean, yeah, you could make Crawl into a decent game.
Watch the Crawl fans show up. Man, I like that movie. Shut the fuck up. I mean, you don't know nothing.
Hey, listen, you got to be self-aware, folks. If a movie is bad, it's bad.
We've said
but
this.
You can still like it.
Yeah.
I fucking like Tank Girl. That movie is a piece of shit.
Brett.
Come on, Brett. You know that movie's stupid.
He might be.
All right, this is round 2.
He's not even answering.
Okay, good. This is good.
But here's the thing.
So I had to run back from the other room out of fury. To
Tank Girl, the movie. It's pretty bad.
It is bad in a good way. Like, I wouldn't change anything.
Oh, no. I love that movie, but it is on fucking crack.
It is definitely, is the 90th of movies.
Like, it is so, that movie is so bad that Naomi Watts has disowned that movie. She doesn't even say that she's even in that movie. Even though I loved her as Jet Girl. She was Jet Girl.
I have a question.
What's up?
We were talking about the Power Rangers earlier. I haven't seen that movie since I saw it in the theater, but and since I was a kid, not in the theater. Mm-hmm. And I remember I love that movie, the one with the ooze. Is it a bad movie? I don't know. I don't know if it's even good. Like, since I haven't seen it.
No, it was recently.
It's a decent movie. It's about it's a mid-tier sort of film. It's not like
even
amazing.
Back then, those effects were bad.
Oh no, the effects in that movie were just atrocious.
Well,
I remember we're watching it and I'm like, how come they're not just doing the suits? Because the suits would have looked even better than this garbage CG. But they did it.
Well, since that movie doesn't count, I am going to say Suicide Squad.
Oh, that'd be an interesting game, wouldn't it?
The Suicide Squad or Suicide Squad?
Suicide Squad. It's the one that has katana. Her sword steals the souls of all its victims.
Remember Slipknot?
I can say the. This is bad video games, right? Or this is bad.
Bad movies that could be good video games.
Okay, you could take the original version of Justice League and make a good video game out of that.
Yeah, there you go.
Or Snyder Cut, if you believe that is a good movie at all. And that's when the Snyder Cut people come after us. I would also go with Tank Girl, like a Tank Girl game based on if you were going to go down the road of bad movies. Yeah, you can make a pretty damn awesome Tank Girl movie and then just inject as much of the comics in it.
I got one.
As possible.
Okay, go ahead.
Venom.
Bad movie, good game.
I mean, the Spider-Man games are dope, but the Venom movie was tragic.
You can make a better Venom game. You could also make a better Morbius game too.
Oh God, yeah, there you go. That's my answer, Morbius. What happened to the summer of Morbius? Remember people talking about that?
It's Morbin time.
It's Morbin time.
Well, there's it's funny that is actually an example of there's actually a really good game theory. Film theory about that by Matt Pat, where literally talking about how essentially Twitter is not a good metric for actually talking about the popularity of certain things. And he sort of goes through all these numbers and literally looks at different movies and saying, okay, so like how right now, like nobody on Twitter is talking about Avatar 2, but apparently in the regular zeitgeist outside of Twitter, there's actually a lot of excitement for that movie. And the only time that it ever sort of went down was during Black Panther time.
Yeah.
I just don't understand, like, who's obviously, because that video you sent, Manny, it's right. I mean, Twitter is such a confined space of people.
Yeah.
But I always wonder, why is Avatar? I get why Avatar 1 was popular, because it had a lot of conditions. The 3D was amazing. It was revolutionary. Mm-hmm. It's James Cameron. It was a decent, okay movie. But I don't understand the hype for the second one, other than the fact that it's James Cameron.
I don't know what maybe maybe just people just think it looks really awesome. I don't know.
Yeah,
Who knows?
maybe.
People just maybe like
listen,
blue people.
I fully admit. You know how we were answering a question about like your top 3 like valuable franchises. My top 3 valuable directors. James Cameron is one of them. I'm seeing this movie like James Cameron. This shit is my most hyped movie because it's James Cameron. Like I don't give a fuck. James Cameron is fucking good. This movie is so James Cameron. It has every shade of blue imaginable in it. Like I wonder the aliens are blue, the fucking ocean is blue, the sky is all kinds of crazy blue. Like he went in on this fucking. Oh my god, I'm really stoked for this fucking movie, man.
See, there you go. There's one.
Yeah, me. I'm the guy. And here's the funny thing.
This is the reverse. Reverse Tony.
Yeah, no, but here's the funny thing, right? Manny, you're right because when I'm on Twitter, I feel like I'm the only guy that's hyped for this movie. But I'm like, of course people are going to be hyped for it. Did you see how much money the original one made? Obviously people like the movie. And here's the thing. People knock on it because it has a simple story, which it does. But people like simplicity. Star Wars is fucking simple,
Yeah.
So yeah.
And the moment that
movie looks fucking good. Look at those effects.
And then the moment when Star Wars became unsimple, that's when people just started checking out.
I will say, Empire,
I will provide a little bit of pushback. I mean, Star Wars is by far not the most complex story ever. It's basically just a whole bunch of classic archetypes. But the Avatar is nowhere near Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, absolutely. No,
it's not at all.
I'm talking about the first Star Wars. That's simple as fuck.
The first Star Wars is simple.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the franchise. I'm talking about the movie. That's what it was called back then. It wasn't called Episode 4 back then.
Yeah, he added that.
Yeah, but Avatar 2, give me that shit. I'm watching all those fucking movies.
In the theaters.
Hell yeah, absolutely.
I wonder. He's doing it back in 3D too, as I remember. And
the 3D I'll skip. I don't need that bullshit.
You'll skip the 3D. The 3D through it.
Yeah,
go with the IMAX one where it's like 50,000 feet tall.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, I remember.
I'll watch that movie with you, son.
Let's go, man. Yeah, Avatar. Let's fucking go.
See some.
Ooh,
all right, when's that coming?
Yeah. Going to New York next month. Nah, man.
Tony, are we really both excited about the same movie?
Yeah. Wait.
This is so crazy.
Yo, man. Hold on, wait. Avatar fan base.
Yeah, me and Brett showed up. Let's fucking go.
Damn. All right.
When Tony and Brett are hyped for something and they're the only ones hyped for that thing, this is the stars align. This is Ragnarok. I don't know what the hell's gonna go. What's gonna happen?
The streams. It's everything.
Everything.
Cats and dogs living together.
Which means one of two things. This movie's either gonna be utter shit or fucking amazing. So I'm looking forward to it.
It's James Cameron. You already know it's gonna be fucking awesome. That's that guy does not have a bad track record. Think about it. Well,
he doesn't have much of a track record the last decade or so. So we'll see.
Ever since he lived in the Titanic for about 10 years.
Yeah, he did Titanic. He's like, I'm not going to do movies. And then I think it was Lord of the Rings. Somebody's like, shit, I should do something. Oh man.
Yeah, he probably looked at Lord of the Rings. He's probably looked at Lord of the Rings and like, that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Wait, what was Titanic and Avatar like his last two movies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, because he did Titanic, and then he just stopped making movies. He just went to go live in Titanic for like 20 years.
he started diving and shit and going to the Mariana Trench and shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And you could tell he was obsessed. I remember The Abyss. That dude had a fascination with that shit even back then.
He's obsessed with water.
Yeah. The Abyss is when it's like the James Cameron blue really started because it still wasn't there in Aliens.
No,
you saw a little bit of it towards the end of the movie and shit with the alien queen, some of it in there, but like it went full on with The Abyss, and then obviously it got every movie after was just blue,
all night shots are blue.
All night shots are blue. Yeah, let me stop talking. I could talk about James Cameron all fucking night, man. All right, let's go to the next question here. Also,
wait, I actually didn't answer.
Oh, my bad, question. Brian. Go ahead. Yeah. So what bad movie would make a good game?
And the funny part is, I can actually see this being an actually really good game because we've seen games like this that work really well. You know, like they have a large roster of characters, different abilities, make like a party RPG, you know, where you can switch them around, like Octotraveler. So is it Octopath.
Octopath, yeah.
Brian, you've convinced me.
See, that's the really annoying thing. It's like this is actually a really good blueprint for a game, but the film is trash.
Yeah, it was a terrible fucking movie.
You fight a huge titan at the end. That would be pretty cool.
The only redeeming value of that movie was the hot Chinese girl. That's it. That's literally it. The movie was trash. You know? Oh my god. All right. Let's move on here. Next question from Mr. Black Metal Gamer. Should the next God of War have the same gameplay as the last two games, or should it be more old school, like in the vein of Devil May Cry? Go back to basics, or should it be something completely new?
I don't know. You know what? It'll be the next game. Going into timeline set up by the original God of War. The next one will be a first-person shooter on what is that? On what was his face? In the temple of
Kronos, right?
The temple of Pandora. Temple of Pandora.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, like modern Marines find Kronos' body in the desert and shit. And there you go. That'll be it. So that's
they go to the temple.
First person shooter. There you go.
Man, modern day God of War. That'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah, right. You imagine like a regular like Marine team finding all those fucking monsters and shit from back in the day. That'd be interesting. I know Adam. The Call of Duty.
Oh man, God.
Actually, Adam wouldn't like it. Like, they got monsters.
Oh no, they got dinosaurs and all this stuff. And whenever God of War whenever Call of Duty took it to space, that's when it went to die.
Oh man, it's card battle game. Get that shit out of here. Segway Kings, man. Next question here. Toon Medic, Mr. Michael Santiago.
What's up, Mike?
He goes, have you guys played Marvel Snap yet? Also, in your opinion, why? And he's saying this like kind of tongue in cheek. Also, in your opinion, why do you agree with me that it's Game of the Year? I don't play mobile games. I don't play card battle games. Fuck that shit. I've seen a bunch of my colleagues playing it. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're playing a mobile card game. Like, all right. Hey, listen, more power to you. But those are two things I don't touch. No mobile, no card games. No thanks.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to play that.
Fuck that shit.
I mean, it's the usual thing. It's like, no, it's free to play, but right, and then you if you want to get deeper, you start doing other stuff in there. Here's the thing: like those two Marvel games are do gangbusters.
They do,
Marvel.
Those stupid card battle games,
like that one and the other one or whatever the other one. They keep on throwing out updates of different skins for certain characters,
something
and stuff
champions or something. Like
contest of champions or something like that.
Yeah. That shit's been going on. That's why I'm also confused about this Marvel stuff. I'm like, you already had these games. Like, what is different about?
Yeah.
But then again, I don't care if the fucking card battle game, mobile game.
But I mean, it's a simple idea. Not a lot of
fucking games.
Yeah, not a lot to get. Not a lot of barrier to play. And then you spent you get spent 10 hours playing a free game.
Yeah. See, Blitz, you got a selective hearing. He goes, what does Tony say when he actually likes something? Didn't you just hear me gushing about James Cameron 5 minutes ago? Come on now,
Well, I mean, to be honest, like, when you say good things, it just goes through people's heads,
I literally just gushed about James Cameron for 5 minutes straight.
Nah. We don't need to, it's whatever. Yeah. Now, if you hate something, people hear that.
I still remember one of the early throwdowns. This is prehistoric throwdowns. We were talking about some fucking game, Soul Sacrifice, I think it was, on PS Vita or PSP.
Yeah.
For 15 minutes, Manny and Riku were gushing about this game's good. This game's good. Potential, right? I go in there for 2 minutes. This game fucking sucks. It's trash. Then next week the comments. Why do you guys hate this game? I'm like, did you not hear 15 minutes worth of gushing? No,
I mean, I was giving it a chance with Rico. I didn't utterly hate the damn game.
I fucking
it's something I ultimately didn't. It's not something I think I even said on the show.
It was a cheap Monster Hunter clone. You know?
Yeah, it was sort of a Monster Hunter. That's the only thing. I played the demo. I was like, okay, I get an idea. I see some potential in this, but you know what? Ultimately, I don't really want to buy this one. But Riku ended up getting the platinum in it, so.
You already know.
You already know.
Riku, man. I'm telling you, Riku is such a real gamer. He left Throwdown so he had more time to play games. Like, that's some real shit, man. I can respect that, you know? But yeah, sorry, Michael. None of us ain't playing no Marvel Snap. Fuck that shit.
Nah, I'm sure he knows we're not playing.
Yeah, he knows. He's fucking with us. He's fucking with us.
I guess Carlos might be like the only one that might because it's kind of in the vein of Heroes of the Storm. But yeah, again, it looks nice. Well, the trailer looked nice until I seen Riri Williams, and I was like, no.
Well, they gotta advertise it. She's in a new Black Panther film, so.
And then I see America Chavez, and it's like, oh, double no.
She's in the new Doctor Strange movie.
Oh, America Chavez.
give me some Jean Grey or something, you know, like actual characters, not just stereotypes. So yeah, I just don't care. Again, if they made a game that looked like that, then maybe I'd play it. But else was kind of, I guess the artwork looks nice. But apart from that, it's just, nah, I'm good.
Playing that bullshit.
It's funny. I follow one of the guys who does cards for that game, and he does some really damn good work. I'm like, damn, it's too bad you're getting all this work in this game, but then again, he's probably making good ass money.
Oh, you already
cards.
know. You already know. Yeah, listen, man. You like that game? More power to you. Respect to developers, all that. But I'm good. You know.
Yeah, not for me.
All right, moving on here to Meke, who's been joining us in the chat tonight. If God of War Ragnarok or Elden Ring had launched, this is a hypothetical question. If God of War Ragnarok or Elden Ring had launched in one of the other very strong years of gaming, 2017, 2018, 2019, for example,
man,
would they still be at the top of the game of the year consideration, or are these games so highly regarded to such a shit start to the generation? Here's the thing, though. God of War came out in 2018. That was considered Game of the Year. So since God of War Ragnarok is basically the same game, yes, it would be considered for Game of the Year. Actually, it'd be interesting. Would people like, yo, they got 2 God of War games in 1 year? What the fuck? You know?
Shout out to Mecca. I literally was thinking about the same thing like a couple of days ago, but I was thinking about 2007, not 2017. Yeah. 2017 was a great year too, but
no, and Elden Ring, let's just be honest. Any year that game would have dropped. Instant Game of the Year. You know, so those 2 games aren't just good just because there's nothing else. I mean, legitimately great. Elden Ring is one of the best games that's come out in the last 10 years. It is. I've said this. Remember, I had to eat my own words because I saw people talking
gushing,
about it.
Man.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I guess I'm gushing too much. You know.
Who the fuck are you? Get out of here. Where's the old Tony?
But remember,
Tony, why do you hate
one that
said?
Why do I hate
the one that
hate
the one that hates all Souls games? Well, here's the thing. I don't know. To be honest, I don't think Elden Ring would work if it was
released
without the other games in front of it. I think Elden Ring, as much as if it came out the gate with being that hard and with the way people perceived those games initially, back when, I don't know, Demon Souls came out, I probably feel like it might have a hard time like Demon Souls did in those days too.
Yeah, because that
I think
game,
it needed.
Elden Ring, it's a culmination of everything they've been building for the last decade or so. So that's why I like the question. Don't get me wrong, but it kind of doesn't work for Elden because you needed that preceding time for the game to be what it is. You know.
I think they needed that iteration and those releases in order for Elden Ring to be it, to get the gaming space accustomed to that sort of gaming.
Yeah,
I would say Elden Ring if Elden Ring came after Bloodborne, I would say it would work.
Well, that would be the timeline that he mentioned.
That would be the timeline. I would say if it came after Bloodborne, if that was their next thing, and there was no other they didn't release any of the other.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Hell yeah! Like think about it, 2015 is when Bloodborne came out. If Elden Ring came, no Sekiro
came in 2016.
If it came out in 2018,
yeah,
motherfuckers would have lost it. They lost it now. So it just goes to show you,
They would have been ahead of the game on that one.
Yeah,
I'm not thinking about it too deeply like you guys. If for me, if Elden Ring came out in 2007, it'd still be a fucking incredible game. Might not get as much hype, especially considering that it's launched with fucking literally some of the best games ever made in 2007. So when I compare this to other games specifically in the last couple of years, I'm with Tony. This is probably the high bar of video games. I can't really, it's in lines with the Personas and the Monster Hunter Worlds, and Spider-Man's, but I don't think even Spider-Man reaches this level.
Elden Ring is on another level, man. Like, again, it is, the game could have released in a stacked year and it still would have been nominated for Game of the Year or eligible. That's how good it is. This is a transcendent game, The only year it would have been hard would be 2007, because but even then it'd still be a big fucking beast. People be like,
it would be a big beast, but I don't think that people would be tolerant of the difficulty of it.
Yeah,
because again, that would suggest that Demon Souls should have gotten Game of the Year nomination when it came out.
You needed to, and Blitz says that Carlos gets it, but Manny and I, this is just the way we think. We can't just separate the history. The history is important. It is the reason why the game is what it is.
Well,
exactly. But to be honest, I don't think that the gaming community at that point in time
it needs that.
Would I don't think that the gaming.
You know what I think? I think if the game would have came out in 2007, it would have been a cult classic. Because it would have been too far. It would have been too far ahead of its time. People are like, "What the fuck is this?" But when Elden Ring came out, people were ready for a game like that.
But the most important thing out of all this is you would have understood it. All of us here would have understood this game.
Yeah, we would have understood.
We're talking about Tony back then.
Back then, I hated Demon Souls.
Okay. Well, we're talking about old Tony. Then, like there might have been some games that you wouldn't even played.
Yeah. So again, you can't separate it from history. It's impossible. And again,
if you think about what you were. What headspace, like that's like giving Tony from like in the 90s a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah,
he hated fucking Final Fantasy.
I hated
games.
I didn't like any RPGs at all.
Any turn-based RPGs he hated.
Yeah. So that goes into consideration as well. I'm thinking about it because when I first played Demon Souls on PS3, I'm not trying to play this shit. But then when I played on PS5, I'm like, hey, I'm good. I've been playing these games for a while now. And that was Bloodborne it took. So you can't really separate that. But the thing is, Blitz says, anyway, I figured Elden Ring would still be great, but honestly, I'm not so sold on God of War Ragnarok. But again, God of War Ragnarok gameplay-wise is not that different from 2018. So if the game came out in 2018, it'd be considered a fucking masterpiece, just like the original one was. You know what I'm saying?
The time frame. If that game came out in that time, it would just almost feel like an expansion of the game, which it kind of still feels like.
In a way, yeah. I'm not going to go as far as saying it's DLC because it's not. But no, again, the game would still be like, oh shit, this is great. Because I'm sorry, I'm getting worked up right now. But yeah, again, 2018 is when the original came out. That game was literally Game of the Year almost across the board everywhere. So this game being not different, it would still be considered Game of the Year.
Imagine if they managed to fit all of that into one game. I think about it in
that'd be crazy.
Sense. Like, what if you worked your way with Atreus and all that stuff? You did the thing with the ending of
Blitz goes pick another great year, but I can't do that because I can't put God of War Ragnarok in 2007 because it wouldn't make any sense because God of War 2 had just come out like a year before that. So it wouldn't make any. Again, you need
and then
there's
and
a
then,
progression.
And then
I know you don't want us to do this, but you need to include the history. These games don't just come out; they need the previous games. They need not only do they need the previous games, they need the previous history of games to lead up to them, and that's what they are.
To be honest, to be honest, when it comes to God of War, the new current God of War games, they wouldn't even be the way they are if it wasn't for the Souls games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you're asking. So we're going down that line. God of War 2. What was it? God of War. What God of War came out in 2008?
Wait, 2008? No, we didn't have a God of War back then. Maybe the PSP.
When was 3? When did 3 come out?
Let's look this up.
The PlayStation 3.
2010, I want to say.
2010. So if you release God of War in 2008, current God of War, after without concluding what happened with God of War, the story to God of War, that would have been weird. And then, not to mention the gameplay change.
Damn, God of War 2 came out in 2007, the magical year,
Yeah, so,
it wouldn't have made any sense. You need that chronology.
It wouldn't have made any sort of sense to the people at the time. And to be honest, we're coming from an era, and I don't know how many of you people remember that era. A lot of games were just about empowerment in that time. Wasn't a lot of
introspective games like this one. Not really the
I don't know if it.
Yeah,
I feel like it would be a sort of an odd man out.
Yeah, but
I mean, then after it's like, why is this game so slow? How come the same questions that Brian is asking? Why is it so slow? How come we're not doing back to this sort of looser sort of gameplay?
Yeah,
it would. To be honest, I think that the gaming community at that point in time would not respect that game.
No, it would have been too far ahead of its time too. Yeah.
It would because it's so different from the previous one. I mean, and even the amount of time between 3 and this one, there's enough for that time to sort of say, we can reboot this thing, soft reboot this thing and sort of give a different experience.
Yeah,
there's enough. There's already been a generation of people between the God of War Ascension and the last one.
Yeah, there's plenty of time. Blitz goes, dumb question, move on. No, this is a great question. Look at the conversation.
No, we're having a good old time with this.
So he goes, I didn't think the question was hard. It's not hard. It's a good question. But again, this is a good opportunity for us to kind of make you think a little bit deeper, but not you specifically, everybody. You can't just throw these kind of thoughts. You got to put more thought into it. It's like, okay, what would happen if you do this? How could you get to these points? This is not just about games. It's about in life in general. It's like, what would happen? This, consequences and all that. To me, this is one of the best questions of the fucking night.
I think here's one for you guys. I definitely think that a game like Last of Us could still work put back then. I think it could still work. Because it's a new franchise.
I'm actually gonna say why it would work. Because when the Last of Us came out, it was kind of out of nowhere. It's like, whoa, what the hell? So you could have a out of nowhere game. You don't need to play an Uncharted game to get that game. It's on its own. It's a singular thing. So yeah, it would have worked. It probably would have been pretty impactful. We were like, yo, what the fuck is this? Especially back then, people would have been losing their minds. It's like we never thought games could do shit like that. We've had a lead up to it where we kind of prepared us for games like that with the indie games. But if that game had just come out in 2007, for example, we were like, what the fuck is this shit? You know?
Yeah, literally, essentially around the time when the movie Road came out.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly,
Road came around for 2008. Something like that.
He goes, I just thought if you were playing the game, do you enjoy it as much as other previous games? But you have to take your mentality of that time into consideration.
Tony doesn't do hypotheticals. I've beaten this horse to death and back again, man.
No, it's not. It's not.
I am doing a hypothetical. But I got to inject it with some realism. You know,
but you got to think about yourself at the time. You can't just think about yourself as now back then.
Yeah, it wouldn't
because
work.
you still have experiences and things that are just totally different.
Yeah.
You're almost somewhat of a different person than you were in
yeah.
the future.
Yeah, so you have to take all of those things into consideration, you know. But yeah, we'll move on. But yeah, I love that fucking question. That was great.
Yeah, I thought it was an awesome question. Awesome. I mean, here's the thing. Like, here's a good example.
I don't think we didn't answer the way he wanted, but fuck it, that's what you get on Throwdown.
Here's a good example. Like, okay, people love Yoko Taro games, love them. Like, even Tony liked Nier.
I like Nier Automata.
Nier Replicant, Nier Automata. Now, our show is old enough to be around to where we actually reviewed previous Yoko Taro games, and we talked about the changing of the protagonist in the original Nier. We talked about this. That's how long the show's been around. Tony reviewed a game
3.
by Yoko, Drakengard 3.
I hated it. I hated that game. It was trash. And as a matter of fact, when Nier Automata was coming, I'm like, the only reason I gave it a shot was because it was Platinum Games, even though that was also me giving them a shot after Metal Gear Revengeance, which I still think is one of the worst games ever released. But I gave them another shot because everybody was kind of, people I trusted, like, man, like, dude, this game's fucking dope. I played it. The game is fantastic. So if they do another one, I'm down with it. But you're right, like, again, you got to take your own mindset as a person back then. Would you have enjoyed this game back then? I would probably have been like, fuck that shit. I'm not playing after Drakengard. I'm not playing any of these games. But enough time had elapsed.
But if Drakengard never came out and Nier Automata came back then by Platinum Games, old Tony of back then would have jumped on that shit.
Yeah. Ooh, hold on. Another follow-up question. So if you put and I'm going to answer this one first. So if you put yourself in the moment of when you played a game you loved back in the day and then compared it to how you feel playing these games today, what left the most lasting impact on you? Great way of putting it, but again, games don't have as much impact on me now because, again, I'm older, I've been playing games, and I review games, so my mentality on games is different. Games don't affect me as much as they used to because I'm not coming at it from a pure gameplay standpoint. I gotta see everything about it in totality, but with this game, I would say I enjoyed the new God of War as much as the old one, as the 2018 one. Although I will say, the 2018 one probably did have a little bit more of an impact because I did review that one too, so they're kind of equal in that sense, but that one was fresh. It's like, oh, Kratos in a Norse land? This is different. This is cool. So this one wasn't bringing that sense of newness to it, but what this game has over the other game, and you couldn't have that without the other game, is the character progression. I really enjoy how the characters have come out, like compared to like the last games. Like, okay, this is where they were in the last game. Look how they are now. I enjoyed that. So the games kind of even themselves out. I enjoyed the freshness of the last one, but I enjoy the character progression. That's the word I was looking for. I enjoy the character progression of this game, but you couldn't have had the character progression unless you had the previous game. You can't just look at these things in a bubble. You have to look at the totality of it all. But yeah, Dragonkind. That was another one from Yoko Taro. Good stuff.
Yeah, that just came out, didn't it? Yeah,
it was canceled. He says.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, he's a hard one to crack, man. He doesn't make like his biggest game was Nier Automata. Let's just say that.
Yoko Taro character. I still remember that documentary you sent me, Manny, about the rise of Japanese games in like 2017 or whatever. This dude did the whole interview in that fucking Nier Automata mask.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did it in the Emil mask. Yeah,
hilarious. All right, last question of the night. With Miyamoto turning 70 last week and his time in gaming surely nearing its end in the not-too-distant future, who are other very influential game designers you feel will leave a huge hole in the gaming landscape when they retire or pass on? I'm going to say this, and people are going to go...
Kojima?
No. Miyamoto retires, and it's not going to leave a hole. The guy hasn't done anything in like how long?
Yeah, he's more of a mascot these days. He hasn't really made a game in years. I think the last thing he did was a Pikmin.
Yeah, Yu Suzuki. Somebody brought him up. That's the fucking man right there. But this dude hasn't really done anything. Like Miyamoto, if that dude would have left Nintendo in the '90s, that'd leave a huge fucking hole.
Well, or he retired when he said he was going to retire, and then all the Nintendo fans just lost their shit.
Yeah,
he's got a comfy window seat. I don't think he's looking to, I mean, if he does retire, then he does, he does. But I mean, maybe he's got one more last game in him. Who knows? But I think at this point in time, he's just sort of the mascot that sort of keeps an eye over.
I'm just saying he's irrelevant, nowadays. Like obviously there was a time where this guy was, the shit, and if he would have retired early, that would have been big, So he's trying to give me shit right now. Yeah, I am looking at the totality of it. If he leaves right now with his current state of, body of work, not really going to do anything. Let's just be honest.
I disagree. I think it will do the symbology of him retiring will.
Oh, absolutely.
Will cause a lot of,
but
I think in the whole scheme of things, no, he won't leave a hole in gaming, but he will leave a hole in the whole zeitgeist of. It's the same idea as somebody like a Stan Lee retiring when he did. He essentially did retire.
He did.
Hadn't done anything of worth for years. Maybe a couple of different things that he tossed his name on, but officially at that point in time, Stan Lee hadn't done anything of importance in a long time.
What was that bullshit where he was like, "What if I created Batman? What if I remember that shit? What if I?"
Yeah, it was essentially the DC universe. That was the last thing the last thing like in mainstream comics that he had done. And even John Buscema was still alive back then.
Yeah.
But that was the idea of like, what if Stan Lee had created
What if Stan Lee?
They did. So he rewrote Batman and rewrote Superman. It was a nice experiment, but it was not anything good.
No, exactly. But I agree with everything you say. If Miyamoto now, I'm talking about as a game designer and whatever. He's not really doing anything. But yes, if he retires, it's probably going to be the top story of Throwdown. Like that's pretty big, So in the spirit of that, you already said it. Kojima leaves. That's a big hole. No one is like Kojima. There is no other developer out there like him.
Yeah, it's a weird situation, but he is essentially like the only movie star essentially or big director of video games, which is amazing to me because a lot of there are so many directors that have done things over the years, but nobody's ever reached that level, that name recognition or level that Kojima has.
Yeah, and again, you play a Kojima game, you're playing a Kojima game. There are no other games that feel like Kojima games at all. Even though people have tried, it doesn't work. Like he's one of the few guys who actually has a singular vision, and you feel it in his work. So if that guy leaves, that'll be a big hole.
Yeah, like who else? Like if Cliffy B, like nobody gives a shit about Cliffy B anymore.
Yeah, that is done.
Like he had his one star at doing the Gears of War franchise, and then they sort of fizzled out, and he just whatever. Like he couldn't even like cause lightning to strike another time by doing his own independent projects. Yeah. David Jaffe, a game developer that people know, who's been around for years, who's done quite a bit. Besides the God of War franchise, he has done other games like the Twisted Metal franchise. But officially, he essentially fizzled out, and he is officially retired these days.
Pretty much.
So who is at the level of a Miyamoto, and then who would be at a level of a Kojima leaving the industry? And I don't think that even exists at this point in time. Like the guys like Peter Molyneux, who essentially destroyed his credibility. You have the guy who created Spore. What's his face? And created SimCity. What's his name?
Oh my God! Yeah. Dude with the glasses.
I can't remember his name. I'm totally blanking. Whatever. That guy. He is not done anything of work.
Will Wright. Thank you.
Was that Will? Yeah. Will Wright. Like Will Wright. Maybe 20 years ago, saying I'm going to retire would have meant something, but nowadays it doesn't mean a damn thing. the creator of Doom, the creators of Doom, them saying they were going to retire right now doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I got another one. This is not going to be very impactful in America, but in Japan, it'd be big because this guy is bigger than Miyamoto in Japan. Yuji Horii, the creator of Dragon Quest. That guy
Dragon Quest? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a huge hole, you know?
Yuji Horii,
that guy is a household. That guy's a household name over there, you know.
Yeah, the Dragon Quest franchise is so like stupidly huge. In Japan, like there's literally like it's almost like a holiday over there in Japan when a friggin' Dragon Quest game releases.
Yeah, pretty much. By the way, the urban myth is that the government made like a law that Dragon Quest games should only come out during the weekend so kids don't miss school. That's not actually true. The developers said, hey, no, because kids were skipping school to play these games. So the developers like, let's put them out on the weekend. Developers made that choice, you know? But that's how big the shit is. So yeah, that dude leaves. Yeah, that'll leave a big hole in the industry for sure. Not really a big impact in America, but in Japan it would for sure.
Yeah, I feel like because Dragon Quest hasn't been released or Dragon Warrior hasn't been released, in the States consistently.
Yeah, consistently.
It doesn't have that sort of like. Snowball effect like the way the Final Fantasy games, which most of those games got released here in the States, with the exception of like 3 and 5 or something.
Yeah, like the big games got released, and then obviously after 7, they've all been released. After
they've all been released,
but you're right, it's been consistent. Then even the name was changed, right? Dragon Quest, Dragon Warrior.
It was originally Dragon Warrior on the Nintendo Entertainment System here in the States.
I'm very happy that because they prior to Dragon Quest 11 coming out, they asked them, hey, are you going to release Dragon Quest 12 in America? And they said, the game has to do well because, again, historically, the games haven't been done all that. I'm glad to say the game has sold extremely well in America, all iterations, so we'll definitely be getting the sequel, over here, because Dragon Quest 11, that's still my favorite JRPG. And it's funny because remember I said Final Fantasy was the shit I get. Dragon Quest 11 was my favorite JRPG of last generation. What a great fucking game. That and Persona 5. I'm sorry, those games are better than Final Fantasy 15, and I like Final Fantasy 15, but those games blew it out of the water.
It was it was a nice. I definitely say it's a nice sort of trip back to the sort of, those sort of turn-based things. I feel like turn-based needs to. It's sad that, obviously it's not zeitgeist friendly.
Yeah, it's not.
But I feel like there's still a lot of people that love those sorts of types of games.
Yeah, Dragon Quest 11 was comfort food. Like when you play, like, oh, I remember these games; these were awesome. But obviously, there's nothing innovative about it, but it's just so well done, so endearing, so charming. Good stuff. All right, let's toss some other game developers in here that you feel would leave a massive hole.
If they Miyazaki.
Wow.
Miyazaki. Oh shit.
Oh yeah, Miyazaki. Yeah.
Yeah, Miyazaki.
He would definitely leave a hole.
There's so many Souls type clones, but no one ever does it anywhere near what From Software does. Yeah. So got to give a shout out to him.
He took that company out of obscurity, man. He took a game that literally was like meh and just said, let's do this. Let's.
No, go ahead. No, that's just Carlos. Accept no substitutes, right?
Yeah.
I say like he took that sort of like, because he obviously was a fan of those original I forgot the name of the original franchise that they were that From Software used to do, but he was a huge fan of that and wanted to sort of go back to that sort of style, but essentially do it like third person. So he just took the reins on that thing and just totally worked out. And if it wasn't for it coming out here in the States, we did just through that one studio. I forgot what company released it here in the States, because it was a PlayStation exclusive in Japan. If it wasn't for them taking that game and saying, hey, trying it out, I'm like, all right, let's put this thing out and see what happens. It totally hit over here and then came right back to Japan.
Yeah.
because they called that game. They called it because people were so pissed off at that game how hard it was. You know,
I mean, you guys mentioned it has to be active developers because
developers,
because I mean, you can't mention like the Peter Molyneux and stuff. It's like, well,
no, Peter Molyneux said he was going to retire. It's like, bro, well, good. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out.
Yeah, and when people who don't make games anymore, like the only hole they'll leave is I guess the personalities, and that's what Miyamoto would leave. Like a lot of people, like Tony mentioned, he's sort of like kind of a semi mascot for Nintendo, where just having him here kind of makes people feel better. Yeah, and the nostalgia stuff as well. So yeah, as far as the actual impacts of the industry, it has to be active people like Miyazaki and Kojima. I feel like those are the two of the biggest ones. But I'm trying to think of anyone else that's like on that level
that would leave a weird hole like that. I mean,
what about your boy Todd Howard?
It's I don't know what Todd does anymore. Like, is he?
He's just he's like a Bethesda mascot or something,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like, does he really direct the games? Like, is that his thing? I don't know. Like, to be honest, he just looks like a marketing guy to me.
I thought he did actually direct the games. CEO. Yeah. So I don't know about Todd. Maybe Todd, if he, because I guess this is just part of our ignorance. I don't know how much he's involved with those games. Like, obviously he's the head, but I don't know if he's the creator, the visionary behind all of these things.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah. All right. Any other developers? Very Japanese heavy. I wonder if we get some Westerners in here.
Well, ironically enough, the Japanese developers are the most flamboyant. All of them. It's like you get Suda51,
like the Yakuza guy.
That's a good one. Blitz goes. What about Neil Druckmann? I know he's not popular with Throwdown, but let's look at this objectively if we can.
Yeah, if you were to say that he's going to retire from gaming, I don't know because I mean, to be honest, like when Amy Hennig, like there was definitely a big deal about Amy Hennig leaving, but they didn't make that much of a deal of it, even though she was integral in creating the Uncharted franchise.
Yeah, and then Blitz mentioned Cory Barlog. Did he even direct this God of War?
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. So officially, if he said he retired, he's not. He sort of just kind of, took the producer role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about
to be honest,
I don't know.
To be honest, the other thing about Cory Barlog, the last game that he directed was God of War 2.
Yeah, 2. Yeah. Before
he
2018.
Did 2. He did God of War 2 before 2018, and then he had a bunch of projects that didn't go anywhere. Like he was working on a Mad Max game, all this other stuff, and then finally he came back and did the God of War, the Norse version of God of War.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I can't answer Neil Druckmann because, like, I don't know.
Well, yeah. Well,
if he were to retire from games,
I don't know. I don't think it would have that much of an impact. Because he only really does Last of Us games now. Like Uncharted, we don't get those anymore. And
no.
You could argue that the last games that he specifically did weren't as good as the first two games. The first two Uncharted games. I don't know. It's a tough one. I honestly don't know how to answer it.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough
one.
He'd
be an interesting one. I feel like he needs more games under
I think that's what it is. He needs more games. He needs more of a legacy. Yes, I understand.
A lost one?
Huh?
A lost one?
A lost legacy, yeah. Uncharted and The Last of Us have been some of the most celebrated games in recent history. Yeah, recent history. I would like a little bit more.
And he didn't direct all of them.
No, he didn't. He only kind of stole it after the fact.
Yeah, he kind of took it over. And I'm not going to say he kicked Amy Hennig out, but just seems a bit suspect that all of a sudden she's there and then she's gone.
Shinji Mikami.
In the Shinji Mikami.
Because that guy, But the thing is, obviously he's a legend. No one's disputing that. But has he really had a big impact lately?
I feel like his legacy is very safe, but he hasn't had anything that's really,
like recently, because
groundbreaking.
Because you have to be like, I know he's active. Obviously, he's still making games. But
to be honest, like his last game kind of bombed. Yeah, what was that? The game with the first person game where you do all the hand dealies?
Ghostwire Tokyo. Yeah.
Ghostwire Tokyo. That game kind of bombed.
Yeah. The Evil Within games have been kind of iffy.
The Evil Within games are sort of like cult classic sort of games, but they're not really like anything. Like, to be honest, Chris utterly hated those games.
Yeah, he didn't like them. Shadows of the Damned. Yeah, man.
I guess Shinji Mikami is just more. He's a kind of. Yeah, he's definitely a legend
He's a legend, but if he leaves now, it wouldn't really leave much of an impact.
Yeah, it wouldn't leave that much of an impact. If he left during if he retired during when he was hot during like Vanquish era, after Capcom and all that stuff, literally just jumped, just said I'm done with this shit. Then I think it would have had a lot more of an impact then.
And Blitz mentions this is very much what have you done for me lately, and it's like for sure. Absolutely. You have to we have to project to the future to see what we could potentially lose. Kind of hole it would leave in the future, because if it's a director that doesn't really direct anymore, then should we even be expecting any sort of any output from him?
Yeah, and that's why I don't think Miyamoto leaving would leave a big impact. Now, that's why I take that stance. Obviously he's a fucking legend.
Yeah, I think just it's just the symbology of it.
Yeah,
it just sounds. Oh my God, what the hell?
Yeah, that'd be huge. Right? Absolutely, yeah.
It'd definitely be a big deal, but it's like I'm like, man, what am I gonna do with my life?
That's a different question, Blitz. He goes, maybe just look at the question as, who do you think the community will mourn the leaving, passing of the most? That's an absolutely different question than what you asked before. We could answer that.
Before it was retirement. Now we're just saying if Miyamoto just up and died.
Yeah. If Miyamoto leaves, the community would be like, oh my God,
If he up and left, yes.
Whenever
that's the thing. But I think in the whole scheme of things, we're not. Since he hasn't done anything like big, hasn't done anything that really show-stopping in that time. The only thing you have is just the symbology of him retiring. People definitely be like, "Oh my God, it's never thought I'd see it happening."
Yeah,
but so I feel like if you were to choose somebody who's maybe somewhat of equivalent of that, like Hayao Miyazaki, who is currently still working and is currently still making good stuff.
Yeah,
I think that is a bigger one. If he were to just up and retire in the middle of whatever film he's working on now, or just God forbid he passes away doing it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna bust out the Tony and Manny card on this question. It's two different answers. It depends on how you think about it. If you think about the general audience, it's a different answer than from the hardcore gamers.
This is true.
If it's the hardcore gamers and it's Kojima, everyone's having a fucking eulogy.
Yeah.
But no one else outside of that is gonna give as much attention.
No one will give a fuck.
If it's God damn it, Miyamoto. If it's Miyamoto, then Good Morning America is going to run stuff about it, because the creator of Mario.
If something.
Absolutely.
He'd get like Walt Disney level,
and also shit. Carlos, on that same vein, right? Miyazaki retires, the hardcore gamers like, fuck, no more Souls game. You know what I'm saying? We would lose our shit, but nobody else would give a fuck.
Yeah, they'll be like, Good Morning America would be like, they wouldn't even mention.
They
that
wouldn't even
guy's
mention
name.
that. They just be mad that Trump's back on Twitter. But because right. Remember, there's two sections of like gamers. There's like the average Joe Blow gamer, right? And then the crazy fucks like us. Two different.
But again,
people.
like Mario is literally the video game equivalent of Mickey Mouse. And Miyamoto is literally fucking Walt Disney.
Yeah, that's the way the media sees him. Understandably so. Not unjustly so, I should say. But yeah, good stuff, man. All right, I think we're gonna call it a wrap for now. This was a good show. I enjoyed this episode.
This was a good one, man.
Lots of
great series.
Lots of good conversations. Do we have anything to plug around him?
Not me, but Carlos does.
For those that are looking for the finale of The Walking Dead and hear any conversations and reviews on it, it's going to be up either tomorrow or probably tomorrow or Tuesday. But the finale of The Walking Dead is tonight. I'm going to watch it as soon as we're done with this show. And where you can watch that is on I Am Negan on all your podcasting apps or on thecoalition.com. or the Coalition on YouTube, and that's the Coalition with a K. Just search for I Am Negan on all that. You're going to have a good show that's hosted by Mr. Adam Vale, who's not here today.
Missing for
and
2
Mr.
episodes.
Mr. Richard. I was playing with my buddies, and we got back together and, got the gang back together, and we were doing outriders. And Richard Bailey Jr., the editor-in-chief Coalition, and myself, you can hear our thoughts. You're going to see if it was all worth it, if we're going to look forward to the spinoffs. A lot of the future of The Walking Dead we're going to discuss. Not only the episode, it's going to be a packed show. I'm pretty sure we're going to talk for almost 2 hours. It's going to be a WrestleCast and a half. I Am Negan. Make sure to catch that. And pretty much all.
Good stuff. Heads up that we will be doing Throwdown 4/12 on Wednesday because Turkey Day is on Thursday. So just be aware of that. Us Americans will be celebrating the giving of the thanks. So Throwdown will be here on Wednesday. Hopefully some good stuff will happen during then. Then I believe after that we have one more regular episode. And then after that we're going to have the Game Awards where we're going to shit on it for 3 hours. And then the year-end special where we recap the year. That'll be interesting, especially this year. It'll be interesting stuff. So next week, Wednesday, week after that, another regular episode, and then after that, we're gonna have our last 2 episodes of the year. Should be pretty interesting. And also, Carlos, remember, man, AMA is coming. AMA is coming for Throwdown Your Questions.
Let's go.
So that'll be like a couple weeks from now. So good stuff. Anyway, make sure you follow Throwdown on Twitch and Twitter. Join us on Discord where the conversations and the rumors are always popping. You can find us on any podcast app by searching for Throwdown Show towards Throwdown Show. Throwdownshow.com to listen to previous episodes. And if you're watching us on YouTube and enjoy the content, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of when our premieres go live. Links to everything down below. Once again, I'm your host, Tony Polanco. And tonight was joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you next time.
Carlos Romero.
Just to answer real quick, Blitz's question, are we going to watch along the Game Awards? Yes, we are. Hopefully, I haven't seen what time it is, the ceremony, so hopefully it's in a reasonable time. But more than likely, yes, so we will be streaming it.
All right, hold on. I got to give Blitz some shit right now, bro.
Oh,
okay. Now I know you've been watching us for at least 2 years.
More than that.
Yeah, you've more than that. We live stream this shit, our reaction to it every year. Come on now, bro.
Yeah, man.
And I literally said we're going to do that like 3 minutes ago, man.
You never get guests to jump in.
Well, you never know. Maybe they'll stream this from Qatar and it'll be in weird hours,
Yeah, no, but it's good. But it's good to make sure. But we'll be live streaming our whole thing 3 hours. And you know how we do on Throwdown. We're just going to, make fun of it.
We're gonna lay into it, man.
Yeah, because the shows.
It's literally the Zeitgeist Awards.
As always, the show will be bad, but our reactions will be good.
It'll be a very entertaining show, and it won't be because of the actual Game Awards.
Brett Murdoch.
It's been real, people.
And Brian Manjoma.
Let's see who'll be unbanned on Twitter next week.
Ooh, it's getting juicy out there, man. And you're going to join that Hive place, Brian? Everybody's doing that now. Oh, I'm joining Hive. I'm joining Hive. Yeah, I'm good.
I thought it was Mastodon.
Whatever.
Yeah, no one cares about Mastodon anymore. They're going on Hive.
Oh, that's the new shit now.
Well, because they realize Mastodon is not a centralized location. You can literally have a bunch of different instances of Mastodon.
Yeah. Like I said before, I'm not making any more social media accounts. You get Twitter's it. You're not getting anything else from me. All right, people.
If he dies.
Yeah. All right. They're probably talking shit about me on Hive. Yeah, Tony here. Fuck that guy, man.
Yeah, fucker, man.
All right, people. We'll see you on Wednesday. Later.
Peace.
Laters.